Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, December 7th. The time is 7:02. Call this meeting. I will do a roll call vote for the members as this is a remote meeting. So Mike Greco.
Here.
Art.
Here.
Katie Grace.
Here.
Mark.
Present.
And our newest member, Eric.
Here.
Okay. And Tracy Sharkey, aye. So the first item on the agenda will be old business, public hearing continued 62 Manchog Street, St. Dennis Church, earth removal. Is anyone here for that?
Yeah,
Eric?
this Eric Bizet.
Name and address?
Yep, with Allen Engineering. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. So at the last meeting, we were kind of in limbo. DEP had asked us to do an alternatives analysis to see if there's any way we could reduce the riverfront impacts that we had proposed. We had about 8,700 square feet of impacted riverfront with our access driveway to the earth removal area. And so we looked at a couple of different options for access, and we found what looks like a feasible access alternative going through the Maniac property coming off of West Street. Steve brought that up on the screen right there. And you can see the access would go from West Street right through what's now an existing pool, in-ground pool in the Maniac's yard. We'd have a small stream crossing of about 300 square feet. Then we'd go over a knoll, and then we have a BVW crossing of about 500 square feet. And then from there, we can proceed up to the earth removal area with no more wetland impacts. We have some buffer zone impacts, but no more wetland crossing. So with this alternative, it allows us to completely eliminate the riverfront impacts, which was about 8,700 square feet. It does increase our BVW impacts, but only by about 500 square feet. So we're still under 1,000 square feet for our total BVW impacts. Like I say, it allows us to completely eliminate the riverfront impacts. So I think this is what DEP had hoped we could do, and that was find another way around to get into our site without having to impact the riverfront. And I think we've done just that. We're still trying to finalize the design and some of the details on this, but it looks like it's a feasible alternative. And unless the commission has any objections, this is how we'd like to proceed. We'd like to revise our plans to show this new access to the earth removal area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Board, any questions or comments on the alternative location?
Mark Munjum here. So I see that the riverfront impacts have been eliminated, but this alternate has 2 BVW impacts and also comes out into a residential area. So how does the social impact in terms of the driveway being, or the access way being right between two house lots? Has that been
Yeah, it is in a residential area.
considered?
And we've looked at it. The earth removal process is only going to be temporary, though, and we don't expect it to last much more than a year. So the neighbors will probably notice some truck traffic. I think we weren't proposing more than 10 trucks a day, but yeah, we did take it into consideration. We know we didn't have any residences to deal with the other access, but we still think this is the better alternative.
Has DEP commented on this alternative location yet?
No, we haven't sent them anything. I'm sure this is what they were looking for though, when they asked for an alternative analysis for reduction of riverfront impacts. When you can take the riverfront impacts to zero, that's usually exactly what they have in mind, so.
Right, so with Mark's question, we're only looking at BVW versus the riverfront, and that is the requirement of the riverfront alternatives analysis, right?
Yes,
So Mark, do you follow that we're doing two BVWs and we are in residential, but the Wetlands Protection Act is addressing the riverfront area, and if there's an alternative, then the applicant should really look at that alternative as suitable, more suitable than a riverfront.
yeah, there's other benefits to this too. You know, it doesn't require that we have any disturbance of the cemetery now, so I know that was one of the questions the planning board had was, you know.
Okay, my audio is bad. I was only picking up a part of what
Yeah, you were frozen. Mark,
Yeah, I'm back.
okay.
Eric, Steve Zisker, is the envelope of the excavation earth removal changing at all, or just the access to it?
It was just the access to it. You know, there was a minor change where the other access used to come into it, but,
Yeah.
you know, we eliminated that, and
Okay.
the shape is still, of the earth removal area is still the same.
And that easement that cuts through the plan, is that an old petroleum pipeline easement?
Yeah, in my understanding, I've talked to Murray Bristol at Pine about it, and my understanding is the pipeline company will let you go through that easement. You can cut their pipe, and they will they plug it, and it's an allowed crossing as long as you contact them and let them know what's going on.
And so that's outside our jurisdiction. So who do you permit that through? Is that through the planning board that you're gonna do that process?
Yeah, we still have to go through the planning board with the earth removal application, and they know about the pipeline. The pipeline crossing is usually just, you need approval from the pipeline company. So, but my understanding is that's not too hard to get as long as you go through the proper procedures.
I have a question about the original proposal. There was a path to the cemetery because they were going to expand the cemetery. Is that no longer part of this plan?
The cemetery expansion is still in play, but it would require the other crossing if and when that happens. But right now, the plan is still to grade this out so that it would be, the final use could still be the cemetery expansion. It would just need an access into it to connect it to the existing cemetery. So.
And so that you would come back to this meeting for that crossing?
Yep, that would have to be another separate application.
Yeah. Okay.
That would also have to go through Natural Heritage because Natural Heritage didn't approve the permanent road for cemetery expansion. They only approved the temporary road for earth removal. So.
Okay.
Is any part of this alternate access in the natural heritage and endangered species habitat domain?
Actually, we were able to get everything out of the habitat area also. So that was another benefit to this alternative,
Mhm.
being able to reduce the endangered species habitat
That's good.
impacts.
Okay, board, any other questions on this
Oh, the-
hearing?
What would the surface of the access road be?
It'll just be a gravel road.
all the way to the street?
Yes.
And then at the end of the project, you would retire that gravel road?
If we have an end use, we're looking at possibly a residential use back there. There was a plan that was before planning board years back that showed a single house lot cut out back there. So it's possible that we might still be able to have that end use, but we don't have any definite plans for that at the moment.
If it, I guess it's outside the scope of Concom, but I mean, would there be an end use plan if it's not going to go into a house lot to restore the space?
Yeah, if it doesn't go into a house lot, it would just be like any other earth removal project where you restore it with loam and seed and some other trees and plantings.
That's what I was going to ask also. Art, do you have any questions?
No, I think this is preferable to the original plan, so I'm okay.
Okay, Mike,
No problems.
Eric,
I'm okay.
Katie Grace, any other follow-up questions, comments?
Thank you.
Mark?
I'm okay for now.
Okay. So Steve, they proceed with their alternative access and continue.
They can, yes, I guess they would, if it's okay with the conservation, I think they would have to resubmit their plans or maybe revise their fees. It might be a little bit more with the additional crossing. And then it's earth removal and planning board. And then maybe resubmit to the state, Eric?
Yeah, everything will have to be, we'll revise the plans and submit all the revised plans to the state and the planning board, as well as the commission. So it's going to take us a little time to get everything put together. So, we wouldn't be looking to get on for the next meeting with conservation, but
Well, that just falls right into my plan. I was just going to mention that because we're booked up pretty solid for the next meeting already. So if you can put it off as much as possible, that'd be great.
Should we, as a board, vote to accept that proposed meeting schedule?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sorry, board, and
Yeah.
sorry, Eric. We'll have to interject ourselves on the vote because we can't continue something that we don't have a voted schedule on. So for the board members, did you take a look at the schedule for next year?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to need a vote on that to accept the 2021 meeting schedule as presented or as noted on the screen here. Take a motion.
Why is the second February one tentative? Is it just in case we need it?
In case you don't need it, yeah.
I would still grab all the dates.
Yeah. Well, I'll move to accept the 2021 conservation schedule.
Motion's been made by Art,
I'll second that.
second by Mike. All those in favor, roll call vote for acceptance of 2020 meeting schedule. Mike,
Mike Greco, aye.
Art.
Aye.
Katie Grace,
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark,
Mark Mungem, aye.
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, Tracy Shrek, aye. All right, so then we can move to continue the hearing to the 25th. Will that be enough for you, Eric?
yeah, that'll be fine. And we can continue it further from there if we need to, but
We don't want to.
okay, we'd rather, yeah, the 25th should be good.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for continuing 62 Manchog.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Mike Greco, aye.
Art,
Art Montminy, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark,
Mark Mungem, aye.
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. We'll
All
see
right.
you on the 25th. I hope you get everything completed.
All right, we'll be working on it. Thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
thank you. Good night. All right. Next item on the agenda is RDA public meeting, 37 Glen Street. Steve, you want to just update us on that?
Yeah, they came in to do some work in front of the yard, but they never, they didn't show up to the last meeting, and then we haven't heard from them in this meeting either, so I guess they might have just don't want to do the work. They did come in for a certificate of compliance. They're on for the next meeting for that. I mean, so I'm not sure where they stand, and they were gonna revise a plan.
Yeah. So if we could reach out to them one more time. I know Matt is here in place of Jude. We need a response for 37 Glen Street RDA to see what the status is on that. So, board, do you want to just continue one more time? And then we'll give them the opportunity to maybe submit a plan or.
Is that Matt?
That was Mark. He was making a noise.
No, is that Matt Collins? That's for,
Yes, it's me.
all right, so can you relay that message to,
Yep, I'll let Jude know.
okay.
Thank you. We just need an update by the 11th. So I'll entertain a motion to continue that RDA to January 11th.
So moved.
Motion's been made,
Second,
seconded by Mike. Roll call vote. Mike,
Mike Greco, aye.
Art,
Art Montmany, aye.
Katie Grace, you're on mute.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark,
Mark Mungem, aye.
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you. So just give him one more shot to try to submit something to us.
Mind if I bring some up real quick before?
Go for it.
We have, just so we have two outstanding order of conditions, I think 34 Conservation Drive and Kearney Road, that it might be, we need 4 signatures. I don't know if it's floating out there for e-signatures. If everyone can just check their emails to make sure that they have those, that'd be great.
I had a problem with the Conservation Drive one, had wrong dates in it.
Good? Oh,
Yeah, I let Tracy know, but I never heard about it again.
oh, I didn't know that, sorry.
It
Okay,
was
I'll-
a Scrivener's error.
I'll take a look at that then.
Let me I'll just send this one out. 25 Ritchie Road. I'm not positive that was sent.
Oh, Ritchie Road, yeah, I said.
Yeah, 25 Ritchie. But I did send around the 34 Conservation Drive.
Right.
And that was signed.
This is some clerical, was that just clerical dates I did wrong?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I forwarded that to you.
Okay, if you didn't, you can do it again. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I missed it. Okay, thank you.
Steve, it just had the work to be completed by June of 2020. And
Oh, so instead of 2021?
yeah,
Yes, thank you. Blaming that on COVID.
Okay, got it.
Ah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have 4 signatures for that one.
Okay. No, I don't want to hold up the meeting, but I didn't want to forget by the end of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I only have mine and Mike's and then Art. So I only have 3 signatures for that one. That's why I didn't send it yet. So if everybody could just check their email. And I will make sure that I sent the Kearney. Ritchie, I'm sorry, Ritchie Road. I'll send that after the meeting tonight. Steve, anything else?
That's it for,
You got the DCR one, right?
I did. I sent that to the engineer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I sent all these around at the same exact time.
It was just two. I just got that one and got the other one, but.
Okay. All right, I will, I'll check on those once I get out of the meeting. And then if you could just change that date for completion. Okay, let me get back to my agenda. 7 PM discussion, 0 Wallen Lake Road Solar Project, DEP number 1430099. Anything, any update?
We had some emails go back and forth. I know Evan's here. It was with the engineer. I don't know if it's the engineer and the town engineer, Mr. Cundiff, but
Tim Sullivan with TRC here,
Hi.
representing the project. How are you folks doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I do have a bit of an update on the materials we've submitted, and also want to recognize Steve Loss from TRC is also on the meeting as well. The last time we met, we went through a number of items, some pre-construction items and some other materials. And I think where we left it was the commission had requested a summary of a stormwater revision to one of the basins, and also a red line marked up plan kind of showing the change. So we submitted that last week, and subsequently Steve Loss from our office has been speaking with Mr. Cundiff, the town engineer, as well on some other items. So I asked Steve to attend so he can both speak to as the engineer of record to the design and the changes, but also the ongoing conversations with the town engineer, who's also reviewing this project as part of the planning board process.
Steve, you have everything?
well, yeah, I think I passed on that information. We just wanted to, I guess, I've been going, well, for the stormwater, I guess it was just a matter of, I think updating the commission on why the changes were taking place to begin with, because we approved the notice of intent with an approved stormwater management that we thought was approved by planning board, the town engineer, and the applicant, but it looks like that changed somewhere along the line. So this, as long as it's not significant, I suppose, to make sure the commission's okay with those changes. But Tim, sounds like that hasn't been finally, those changes haven't been approved by the town engineer or the planning board.
I believe, and Steve, please jump in here, that there were some discussions today between Steve and the town engineer, and we've come to a resolution on a final plan set and stormwater report, and that was also, I apologize for not mentioning this earlier, those were sent over to you, Steve Zisk, late this afternoon.
What time?
Yeah.
This afternoon?
Sorry. I believe it was a little after 5 o'clock. This is Steve Loss speaking. Have an email back from Mr. Cundiff. He said to please share his comments with you folks. His last email here I have up says, thank you. This looks suitable. Please have these stamped by registered Mass PE, which is myself. And we've done that, sent them over there. He said, thanks for being responsive, and to share his comments. I guess he couldn't make the meeting, but, to share his comments with you folks. It was just some riprap calculations was really all that we worked with today. And like I said, he said to pass that along to you folks. So
let's see here. Did the plans change from last week at all?
Just these riprap aprons that I'm speaking of. He had some questions, maybe some concerns about scouring coming out of the basins. So we beefed up our riprap aprons and gave him new calculations and new plans. I can share the plans if that would be helpful. Or
yeah, I'm trying to find them.
Yeah, I sent the link. He said to
Oh, it was
copy
a
you
link.
folks
Yeah, it was just a link. I got some letters last week. I don't know if I got a plan last week.
because they're pretty big. Yeah, the files are big, so I just sent them with a link because they're too big to
Evan,
attach.
I just wanted, just so consistency, you know the conservation process. So when the town engineer approved the stormwater last year with the consulting engineer, was that final or was that not, that wasn't approved by planning board at the time?
It was approved, but those are typically 30% territory plans. There's always details to work on.
Right.
And they had us update the basin sizes, and then you're working through the final details with Bill on the basins. I think for the avoidance of doubt here, all the work we're just talking about now is outside the commission's jurisdiction. It's on the basins on the west side, which aren't within the 100-foot buffer. But I think TRC is keeping you guys updated very thoroughly out of courtesy. This doesn't have any impact, what we're talking about just right now, on the the NOI work we recently completed. So I think they're keeping you guys informed on how the plans have changed, pretty much in a holistic manner, even if it's a little bit overkill on everyone's jurisdiction. TRC, you guys, that sound right? Give me a thumbs up if that's accurate.
Oh yeah, that sounds fine to me. I think we're in pretty good shape. Everybody's on board.
And I think our hope, I think our hope now is that by kind of sending the final set of plans that are, in this link, Steve, that now, the planning board and the conservation commission have the same, the same set of plans, the same final stormwater report, and everything, everything matches under both processes now.
Perfect.
Yeah, so typically what happens is that the conservation has usually closed the public hearing until its final set of plans are approved by planning board, which we were under the assumption had happened back last August.
I mean, they're the same plans with the details tweaks, the exit culverts, from the basins. Nothing substantially has changed.
Okay. We just want to make sure that, because typically, because the stormwater manager was under the notice of intent, and DEP did review the stormwater plan. So even though it's outside the jurisdiction, it was within the jurisdiction of the commission because it was part of the notice of intent.
Yep. There we go. Yep. I knew that was the way it got back to it.
Yeah, and so that's why if it's it's up to the commission if they want to accept the plans and it's not a significant change. And so that's why they got to be careful that what they approved during the public hearing process was what they approved. And those changes shouldn't have occurred because all the other permits should have been all set at the time of they finally approved the notice of intent. So that's why it was a little disconnect on why you guys were making changes after they already closed the public hearing.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Sorry, I was having technical difficulties. Did we sort that out? Or are we still waiting for a plan?
It's up to them if they want to submit. I mean, if the commission wants to see, Steve's gonna bring it up, I think.
Oh, I can. Yeah, I sure can. Yeah. I didn't know if
Your name and address for the record. If you can, I was gone.
Yeah, sure. My name is Steve Loss. My address is 240 Hunters Chase, Edders, Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Aries Wallam submits. Bringing up the plans here now. And let me hit my share screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. I think somebody's going to have to give me permission to share, I think.
Yep. Is a cable?
Yep.
Should be
Got
good now. Is it good now?
Yeah.
Looks like it, yeah. Let me know when it pops up for everybody.
What's up?
Okay. Yep. So here's today's version, December 7th. Just kind of scroll back here. I just highlighted, this is the pipe coming out of this basin here. And there's a riprap apron that's just a little bit larger than what we had before to satisfy Mr. Cundiff. And back here on the detail sheet, I just highlighted the table where we updated the dimensions and the size of the riprap. That was comprehensive of today's changes. That's for both basins. And these are like, I think Evan had said, these basins are here on the west side of the site. Nothing has encroached into this buffer, the 100-foot buffer. So everything stayed as is inside, and we just flattened out the pipe there with some more riprap, stronger riprap apron.
Well, I do have to say that I go out every Saturday for the last, since they started clearing. They're doing an excellent job. The erosion controls, the work they're doing. I can show the commission some photos from last Saturday before the snowstorm. I think the operation is, the people who are doing the work are doing a nice, clean, professional job. So
great.
Good to know. Keep that sub in mind.
Yeah, if you'd like to show a couple pictures, that would be good too. So there's no additional encroachment from what was previously approved, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, if you want to stop screen sharing, I'll show some photos from.
As soon as I figure out how.
Up on top where it says stop.
Oh, I see it. I was looking at the bottom. Thank you.
Let's see, let me go back. I'll go back to the beginning here. So this is the entrance into the site. They've cleared and wood chipped the entrance. They have a nice rain gauge here, which I use for my reporting. They have this nice board that comes into the site. Excuse the photos because it's about to snow. This is the upper area of the site where they had all the logging operation. This is along the perimeter. Looking back into the site, the access road. This is the area where they cleared. Those detention basins are way down at the bottom of the hill. I didn't go down there this day. This is over to the left where they have the selective cutting. There's actually another path that cuts through there. I checked that weekly. Looks like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing over there. You can kind of see where the selective cutting comes in and out, kind of like the plan. And this is what the site looks like. So haven't had any too many issues with what the guys are done so far.
Board, any questions or comments in regards to the modification?
My only comment would be that I agree with Steve in that we really need to have a copy of the most recent plan as part of our filing. Because this has been an area there's been a lot of concern about runoff at. So, and with, Shore Road and Wallam Lake just below the site, I think we just need to make sure.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if I missed it.
Crossed.
It was at 7 o'clock.
Thomas's phone, could you please mute? Sorry, Mark. Yeah, so we need the updated plan. Everything that Steve is requesting, we need on file because we're depending on the order with the reference to the plan date.
Yes,
You need it mailed to you, or
yeah. Once you get the final plan with what's approved, and there's no more changes from planning board, I need a copy mailed. 2 copies mailed.
2 copies.
Yeah.
You got it.
For our administrative file.
Steve, do you need anything else from the board on a formal vote or informal consensus?
I think a consensus or a vote or consensus for the file, for the minutes that, that they're not requesting any additional changes or they approve
But we
the,
don't know what the plan looks like yet, right?
I guess if they want to come back with the final plan.
Because originally I had recused myself from this hearing, so I'm just trying to follow. I think that we need the plan presented in front of us to see the changes and then have a vote that this is considered a minor modification to the approval, the order of conditions approval plan. Right?
Is there something different than what
Yeah.
presented this evening, or?
Well, last meeting, well, do you have a final plan? Do you think they're going to want to have a modification to the plan, to the NOI?
Sure. So our understanding, and Steve, correct me if I'm mistaken, is that the plan that Steve Loss just showed is what's going to be the final planning board plan. So we're going through the process of having whatever the formal, if there needs to be a record copy with stamps on it, sent to the planning board, we would send the Conservation Commission the same plan, but we believe that's the plan that Steve just presented.
Sure. Yeah. We worked out the last details out with Mr. Cundiff, so we have no reason to make any further changes.
I believe EDF is pulling a building permit formally and finally later this week. So I think we're out of the revision territory with this approved de minimis change, hopefully here, and any similar action by the planning board should it be necessary after the building permit.
So you're not presenting in front of the planning board this week, right?
I don't believe we need to. I believe it's within the bounds of the building permit discretion to
Okay.
the outflow valves on the the riprap on the as shown detention ponds.
Steve, what's the plan date and the final revision?
Plan date?
Yep.
That's today. Today's date is on here.
So the commission can approve the plan with today's date.
Board, anybody have any questions on this? Yes, Katie Grace.
No, I was gonna push back on the riprap, but it was already riprap in the original plan. They just extended the amount of riprap.
What's this percentage or the square footage of increase for riprap? Steve?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Do you have any numbers of the difference between the approved plan and this plan that you're trying to convince the board that is a minor modification?
I can pull up the old one and look at the table there to check the compare the length of the aprons. It looks like we're 18 and 15 feet in length on these. Let me pull up the last one.
And Bill requested you go from 15 to 18 feet. He requested that be the increase in area for the riprap.
Yes, he requested that we increase our riprap, and we did so. He didn't tell us the exact amount. We just took another look at it. He was concerned. He just had some concerns, at those outfalls. I think one of you folks mentioned that, it's an area of concern. So, taking that into account, we went back and we just beefed it up just to make sure, we didn't want anything scouring outside of that basin. So we just, just as another measure of safety, we we took his recommendation and did so. Working on getting the old plan up.
No, I appreciate that that's because of Bill's concerns. I just, wish we were all on the same page. I generally discourage the use of riprap and encourage the use of more natural, rain management practices. But
You have a different measure that you sometimes use at basin outfalls?
I tend to encourage rain gardens unless the sloping is so high that you have to go riprap.
So,
Again,
okay,
I'm
yeah.
not in a position to be arguing with Bill either. He and I have not been in the same room. I've not had the opportunity to have a question with. So if that's what Bill wanted to do, that's what Bill wanted to do.
Okay. Yeah. No, it wasn't a change in the measure. It was just an increase on what we. So the lengths what we had listed before were 12 feet each. So now we're 15 and 18, and we just used a little bigger stone to solidify it.
Thank you.
No problem.
So Steve, you got the planned date of December 7th, 2020.
That's correct.
The board needs to consider that this is a minor modification to the already approved order of conditions. So I'll have to have a vote on that. If everyone's in agreement, anybody on the board have any other comments, questions? Mark, can you hear us?
I'm here and I can hear
Okay.
you. I'm
Okay.
fine with it.
Okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to consider the plan change as a minor modification.
I move to consider the plan change as a minor modification.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second by Mike. Roll call vote.
Mike Greco, aye.
Art Montminy, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark Manjamai.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey abstain. Okay, so please get Steve those stamped hard copies.
Will do.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
And Steve, I sent you that by email. If you didn't have a digital copy, you should get it now or shortly.
All right,
For digital plans.
okay, great.
Okay, next item on the agenda was 184 West Street. I am going to recuse myself and hand it over to the vice chair.
Thank you, Tracy.
And I will be back. Thank you.
Certainly. All right. So we're, oh my God, I just lost it. Okay. That's not the agenda. Sorry, what are we? We're on
184 West Street.
thank you.
Do you have the legal notice? You want me to bring up the legal notice?
I think I actually have this one. All right. All right, so this is a public hearing. I've got the green cards for this. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Legal notice for public hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on December 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. for a request for a notice of intent filed by Guaranteed Builders and Developers Incorporated, located at 184 West Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves the construction of a single-family house, driveway, septic system, well, and associated grading. Public participation is via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. General Law 3818 and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the notice of intent may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission. And this is posted November 27th, or no, this is posted on December 1st in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette. Thank you.
Is this the one that didn't have an address on where the work was going to be done?
I don't remember, and I'm going to need to be reminded.
No, it's the address is 184 West Street.
Oh, I thought that was the address of Guaranteed Builders.
No.
Oh.
Hi, this is Karen Keegan. I'm from Guaranteed Builders. Guaranteed Builders address is 14 West Street.
Ah, okay. I understand. Thank you.
It's okay. I'm here representing Mr. Campbell this evening. The lot sits on West Street. It is a 6-acre lot situated on the southerly sideline of West Street. It consists of an existing cart path onto the lot. The cart path is approximately 498 feet long, which is both grassed and graveled, but it is not overgrown. Is accessible from the street, from West Street itself. The lot consists of a stream on the westerly sideline and associated wetlands on the westerly and southerly side of the lot, and the remaining lot is a wooded upland. The applicant proposes to construct a 27.5 times 36 single-family dwelling, septic system, and a well with associated grading outside of the resource area. The proposed driveway with associated grading will consist of an existing cart path, a relocated driveway area, and a proposed driveway to the building area itself. The portion of the existing and relocated driveway is within the 200-foot riverfront area, but outside of the 100-foot riverfront area. And a small portion of the lot of the driveway is located within the 100-foot buffer. That small portion of that consists of 49.7 square feet, which that's already a gravel driveway. The closest area of disturbance is 113.5 feet from the edge of the stream and 95.2 from the edge of the BVW. The relocation of the existing cart path area, when Steve does show the plan, the relocation is the blue area. The existing cart path is that darkened area on there, which right now crosses a person's property line. So we'd like to relocate that outside of their property line, which the alternative to accessing this lot is through a cart path, through the cart path area would relocate this driveway through the abutter's lot, which would put it over a septic system that's already there. We really don't want to disturb this property owner's lot and relocate his septic system to get to the back of this lot. There is a small drainage swale, which is a seasonable drainage swale that will be crossed with the proposed driveway. It's an existing cart path right now that both Steve and I have looked at kind of a couple of times now, and Steve has taken some pictures for me that shows me that there is water flowing down it. For the time that I've spent out there in the last 3 months, I did not see any evidence of water flowing down there recently within the last couple of years. But I can see that there is water as of Saturday morning. He did show me those nice pictures. But most of this work for the house, the septic system, and the well is all located outside of the resource area, both riverfront and BVW area. And again, we will be using the existing cart path that's already gravel out there. We will keep it gravel. It is 12-foot wide. There's very little associated grading that goes with it. The area of the grading is mostly over that swaled area and towards the house as we get up there. There's a limit of disturbance with a double row of stake straw wattles that are proposed on the plan. They start at pretty much that darkened blue area there and run along a good portion of that existing cart path. I have shown a limit of work on the plan. That will also be lawned area associated with that limit of disturbance. Does the commission have any questions on this?
So this is the existing plan. So I have a video of the entire walkway area, but there was an existing order of conditions that was done in 2006 that we have to do a certificate of compliance for work not started. And this was the original one as you come through here, and the original one actually shows a crossing culvert for some of this drainage area. I can understand why there was probably a thought that there was no can you see this video? So this is the when you come off the coming off of the street. And I'll just I'll speed up a little bit. This is the proposed driveway, and I don't have any issues with any of the driveway locations. I'll speed it up a little bit. This is the overlooking the bank a little bit, so we're in a little bit of the riverfront area. The driveway just keeps continuing along this area.
The stakes that you see in the picture there are the center line of the driveway, just to let you know.
Thank you.
So this low area, and I took this probably a month ago. This is where there's a water flows through, right about here.
Yep, the drainage swale.
And the original plan didn't have any culvert or anything into that area, so it was a concern of mine. And the rest of the I'm walking through, it just goes back to where the house is being located in the septic. It's right about this area here.
Yeah.
Speed it up a little. So this is pretty much the end of that. So I went out, Karen and I went back and forth because I saw the plan done by Yurka. I went out this weekend and so this is the same the crossing area. I don't know, is this on the screen?
Yep.
And so this is the water that's flowing through there. So there has to be some type of culvert or pipe. I mean,
and there is a culvert in pipe, and I did share those photographs that I took of the culvert in pipe that is on the adjacent lot. That culvert in pipe, which is shown on the plan, is crushed, and I couldn't even find the inlet to the pipe. So this must be an overflow of what can actually make it through the pipe that's up there.
Yeah, regardless, it's just that it has to be accounted for.
It is there. It is. I see it, and you are right. But for the amount of time that I've spent out there, that's the first that I've seen of any water. So I would definitely propose some sort of culvert out there, not knowing that there was what if you actually had seen that before the pine needles dropped or any of that, you would have seen that there was no water that had been flowing down that for a good portion of time. And so to see that water, I agree with Steve, a culvert should be put there. I would entertain probably a 12 to 15 inch culvert in there. I don't think it would warrant more than that. It's definitely seasonal. When it rains really, really hard, it's not something that is all the time. It's not on the GIS mapping at all. It's definitely just a drainage swale from up the hill further.
No, but I mean, considering that, you know, there was some heavy rain, it was dry throughout much of Douglas since March until now. The first time it got wet, and, you know, snow melt and stuff like that. So no, I appreciate it. No, 15 inches sounds reasonable.
Just has to be accounted for. I mean, when I did my initial walk, I noticed that when I went down to the wetland area and came back up, I noticed these signs of when it rains that there was some leaf litter that was pushed aside and some scarring and rocks and stuff. So, or some moss. So it indicated, that's why I'm glad it rained now, because I think if you don't want to just fill it in, because then you'll cause a problem upgrading it. So as long as Karen, you know, I think putting a 15-inch pipe or whatever she has proposed, at least to alleviate the flow.
Yes.
Any future, that was my biggest concern.
Okay. And then this is gonna sound crazy. Which way is the tree line face? I'm looking at the plan on my other.
Oh, you walk into the tree line from the street.
Okay, thank you. So it's cleared for the abutter slot, basically is cleared. And the tree line goes behind that. So then I don't see on this plan, I'm looking at the house. I don't see a limit of work line, but I can assume that it's at the limit of disturbance along the driveway. And then is that a stone wall in the back of the lot?
Yes, but I did submit a new plan, a new PDF to you today, Steve.
Oh.
Yeah, but
it did show a lot. It did show a limit of disturbance around the backyard, along with a slurry pit for the proposed well that's out there, and a double row of staked wattles around the slurry pit. So I'm not too sure if you got that. I did send it. It would have been in a separate email from the first one I sent.
Okay, yeah, those are all good things. Thank you.
And it would show a limit of disturbance.
It just didn't have the culvert in it, right?
It didn't have the culvert in it, no.
That's the important thing. So let me bring it up. Here you go. Slurry pit.
Oh, nice.
So see the purple line that goes around? That's the limit of disturbance area with the slurry pit. And again, that limit of disturbance runs all the way both sides of the septic area in the house, through the driveway.
Right. I would put a nice little culvert right where that water was flowing.
I agree. I would entertain putting the same one that was proposed in 2003.
Sounds good.
All right. Board, any other questions? And also, this is a public hearing, so if there are any questions for the public, please go ahead and feel free to ask once you've identified yourself.
Yeah. We were just talking about this as being a drainage swale. What makes it a drainage swale and not an intermittent stream?
It doesn't run all the time. It only runs when there's heavy rain, and it's a runoff from a wetland that's upstream of this, but it's not a DEP mapped any kind of a stream, or whether it be intermittent or otherwise. It is just a drainage swale. It's an overflow of what's up there, and a pipe that has actually been put in upstream to make that an overflow of that for somebody's driveway. But there is no hydrologic connection between that wetland and anything else. In fact, this swale doesn't have any, doesn't sustain enough wetland plants to call it a wetland either.
I think the answer is I didn't see a distinct bank in this area. I mean, but there is a trough or a swale that runs through there. So
A stream would have a bank and a swale
Yeah.
is just a place that water ends up.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if it's overland flow, but she could treat it like a stream and just put the big enough culvert like they had it designed in 2003. Is that what you're proposing?
I propose that. If you want to put it back up on the screen, we can take a look at it.
What size was that?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but we can look at it.
I mean, the developer is telling me that it doesn't flow all the time. Well, that's the definition of an intermittent stream, is that it doesn't flow all the time.
But it doesn't.
And it is a hydraulic connection. It connects one wetland area to another wetland area. So
But it's not.
I would like to have that looked at by someone who maps wetlands, rather than just being told that it is not an intermittent stream.
So on this plan, it was classified as intermittent from, and the source comes I think the source comes from up above, and even though the pipe is constricted.
Yeah, so how did it become a non-intermittent stream between 2006 and 2020?
It doesn't have the bank, and it also doesn't have the wetlands to go along with it. There is no hydrologic connection at all.
That was flagged as a.
And don't forget, this plan that you're looking at is a 2003 plan. It's 17 years ago that was there.
Are you saying that the grading changed since 2003?
Yes, absolutely.
The grading has changed.
Absolute. Not the grading of the swale has not, no, but the grading upstream has, yes.
It looks like it's wetland upstream. It's flagged as wetland, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, but there's no wetland there.
It disappeared?
Yeah, it disappeared.
Well, geez. Why aren't we on top of that sort of thing?
It disappeared. There is not enough wetland plants in that area to sustain that it's a wetland.
I think we need to look at this, Steve.
Okay.
So who did you have do the flagging, Karen, for this plan?
I did the flagging.
Okay. Thank you.
Just like I did the flagging at 93 Davis Street.
Yep. All right. You didn't see any other wetlands on that side of the property?
Well, who are you talking to?
Both of you, actually.
Yeah, I think right where the crossing is probably where there may not be any wetlands, but as you walk up through here, as I've been talking to Karen, the wetland comes from down the street and it crosses over a street here, and then there's a pipe here that's plugged, and there's might have been some farm fill. Right here, let's see.
Found a tick. Sorry, you're so far zoomed in that all I can see is the little area around the culvert, and I really wanted to see if there's anything else in the old plan. Because you were talking earlier about a collapsed culvert that would make sense, that the collapsed culvert would change the rain flow and would change the conditions. Things have changed between 2003 and now.
Right.
So I'm standing at the crossing kind of now, and then this is the crossing is down to my right, but this is that crushed pipe she's talking
Right.
about.
That's the crushed pipe.
Okay.
And this is what they called that wetland, and the crossing's right up through here.
So where is that on this plan? This is the neighbor's property?
Yes.
Okay. And it's uphill.
I show the pipe on my plan.
So this
But
fills
that's
up
all.
with water. This fills up with water up to my left here, and it stops right where this pipe is.
Okay.
And then this area here,
I mean, just visually, this looks very upland, but I can see where you get bits of water.
and I think it's just when that fills up, when that pipe fills to the point, it blocks up behind it, and it just gets to the point where it just starts flowing through. It comes right through here. And my video earlier showed it
That's what you
flowing.
showed earlier with the water. Okay.
Right.
And so this
But-
area looks up. Just
All right.
But there is no hydrological connection out there, I mean, to it, except for when that pipe gets overflowed.
that's where the crossing is, right there.
Yep. Sorry, real quick, Karen, where's the pipe shown on your plan? Is it that orange?
It's
thing?
not.
It's red.
Oh, which pipe?
The crushed one.
The crushed one. It's red. If you pull up the plan, you can see it.
It looks like a weird rectangle.
Yep.
No, I see it. No, and that makes sense to me. Okay. Weird. All right. Board.
See the red pipe on there? Right there. You're clicking on it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Mark's voicing that he thinks that this should be looked at. Art, what are your feelings about the way it's said? And Eric and Mike?
Mark, do you think we should do a walk, or we should have somebody, a professional, go take a look?
I am recommending a walk, and I'd like Steve to tell me how a wetland disappears from one plan to another.
I would like a walk. Karen, I noticed you already have flagged the center of the driveway. Is there anything else that you'd want flagged if we were going to take a walk?
No.
Is that what we can do?
I actually flagged not only the center of the driveway, I flagged the house, I flagged the septic area, and I think the well's flagged too.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, so Mark, to answer your question, I had the same concerns where I showed her the plan with the crossing from that's actually has the original order of conditions on it to this one. They're disputing that, so it's just an opinion from two different professionals that flagged it. One has the existing wetland delineation, which is the existing order of conditions, and then this one now. So it's up to the commission if they want to go with one that was approved in the original order, which they have to actually approve a certificate of compliance on, or go with this one.
Right. So at the end of the day, even if it were flagged as a wetlands, the driveway is still outside the buffer?
No, it's a.
No, but things change in 17 years. Flows of streams change in 17 years. Wetlands change in 17 years. And I'm telling you, there is no wetlands to substantiate a wetland area in that swale area. Things do change.
No, they do.
We are also being asked to certify the previous plan that it wasn't started. So if we do that, does that have any effect on this plan and how there's no wetland showing on this plan?
So the original plan, you close that out, and they come back with the revise, it happens a lot. Sometimes, give or take on different professionals have different opinions. And then based on the evidence that you have on this plan, when you approve this notice of intent and issue order conditions, this flagging will stand for until it's closed out.
Okay.
Okay, so then, but before I ask, I want to point out this other question. We talked about the cart path relocation. Does anyone have any issues with her proposed location of the driveway?
Not as long as it stays gravel.
Okay. All right, so
Is the applicant saying it's going to be gravel? Is it going to remain gravel?
Yes.
Or I shouldn't say remain because I see grading. So I mean, it's going to be a new driveway once they're done. And it
Well,
will,
they're going to grade portions of it, yes. But it can remain gravel.
thank you.
okay, and then do we want to all go on site walks of our own volition, or do we want to schedule a site walk? Karen, do you want to be with us, or can we go at our own time?
I would entertain the thought of going with you.
Okay. All right. What is?
I think this Saturday is a washout. So
Sorry, what?
it would have to be unless you go during the day, it would probably have to be a Saturday since the sun sets so early, and then I think it's going to rain on this Saturday. So
I was just going to say that I'm actually busy this Saturday, but I am free on Sunday.
Sunday's going to be tough for me.
Otherwise, we can look at the 19th.
I could do that one.
I can do that.
Okay.
So can I.
What time of day do we like on the 19th?
the time early.
Sure.
We prefer the morning, yeah?
Yeah.
What did you just say, 9?
9's good.
Okay.
So does everyone know where Conservation Drive is?
Yes.
I recommend just pulling in there and parking in the entrance to the Conservation Drive along there to get yourself off of West Street. And then this is pretty much right across the street.
Okay, and that's okay with you too, Karen?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Anything else from do we want to continue this because we want to do the site walk and we want to see the updated plan with the culvert? So I'd entertain a motion.
Well, do we have to take action on the certificate of compliance from the old one?
Please.
Yeah, but well, so do you want to do the site walk before we do the certificate of compliance, or do you think that we're good on the certificate of compliance, that nothing was done based on the pictures in the video?
I think I'd like to walk it first, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I don't know. What does everybody else think about that?
I agree.
We want to do the site walk first. Okay. Sorry, cat.
So maybe items 4 and 5 can continue to after the site walk.
Yes, I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Mike?
Aye. Mike Greco, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mark?
Mark Mungem, aye.
Eric?
Eric Harris, aye.
And KG Dudley, aye. All right, so we're continuing both items 4 and 5.
So January 11th.
January 11th, 7 p.m. Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have another one of these, or does Tracy have to get to come back?
I think we'll go back to Shore Road now.
Oh boy.
Hi, I'm back.
There she is.
Welcome.
Okay. RDA public meeting 135 Shore Road. Let me just read the newspaper. Hold on one second. I got
Find
the
it, Tracy?
picture. Huh?
Find it, Tracy?
Yeah, I found all the pictures.
Oh, here, I have the legal
No,
notice.
that's a different file location.
Want me to bring it up?
If you would like. I'm on my public notices now.
Well, I emailed them to everybody.
Yeah, I know. I just can't. I have so many emails that I.
You see that?
Hold on.
Yeah, I can see it, Steve.
Right on the screen.
Okay, Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Virginia Santian on December 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed request for a determination of applicability work location is 135 Shore Road, Douglas, and the applicant is requesting permission to remove a maple tree that has been compromised by ants, 2 pine trees that are dead. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order of suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in the meeting via remote participation. Website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission at 476-4000 extension 205, December 1, 2020. Okay. Anyone here? The applicant? Name and address, please.
Virginia Santoyan, 135 Shore Road, Douglas.
Hello, and pretty self-explanatory what
Yep.
you're looking to do. Steve, do you have any pictures or a plan?
You got a nice little video.
Okay, let's see the video.
So this is the house 135 Shore Road. These are the trees they want to take down. Speed it up a little bit. So here's one. Here's one here. They've got a big hole in them
Okay,
right there.
It's bad.
dangerous.
Yeah, scary.
Right over the boat.
Yep.
And then these two here, same thing. These are hemlocks.
Yep.
Pretty sketchy.
Wow, these are really close to the water.
They are.
And unfortunately, they don't have any leaves on them to create any kind of bank cover.
That's pretty much how they are all year long.
Okay.
Well,
And
they-
you'll just be cutting them, no stumping?
No, I'm too close to the water to get the stumps taken out because of the mess it would make in the water, I believe. So I was told just to cut it down as far as I could, but leave the stump.
Okay, that would be a condition. So just the group of the 3 and then the 2 other ones, the 2 hemlocks?
Yep, the 2 other ones I'm gonna leave high up. I'm
Okay,
not gonna cut them all the way down. I'm gonna leave them high up so I can leave my hammock there.
okay, all right, nice, good. Board, any questions on this? RDA? Mark, are you muted? You're muted?
Is there any replanting proposed?
No. I have so many trees around there. I don't know if I needed to plant 2 more since it is close to the water. I wouldn't want to plant 2 more right there.
You don't want to?
Not right there, no. It's too close to the water. I have so many pines in that area. They're pretty big trees.
All I have.
Yeah, I'm not sure the benefit that the existing trees that she's proposing to take down have on the bank, on the resource area, as far as making up for anything lost by cutting those trees down.
Well, no, but it'd be the historical loss those trees would have provided a while ago. Is this Whiten Reservoir?
No, it's
No.
Wall.
Long Lake.
Oh, yep, that's
the
right.
whole entire across the lake is a forest.
Yes.
It will forever be a forest.
Yes.
But no, as far as looking at, will this negatively affect the resource area? So we see the benefit that those trees are having on the resource area, the bank right now. Do we need mitigation for removing those trees?
No, they're not creating shade right now.
And the lot is undersized anyway to be able to plant something. I mean, you still have a lot of trees on your property
Yes.
that will remain. These are just the poor health trees.
Yep.
Poor condition.
The one with the hole in it scares me because it is a very large tree.
Yeah.
It's either going to go in the water or on the boat or on the pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason why I'm taking those 2 down. I wouldn't even have touched them if there wasn't an issue with them.
Oh, no.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah.
Risky.
Yes.
Mike, any comment?
What's the number of trees we're actually talking about? Like I lost track in that conversation.
So it's
It looked like 2 or 3.
the one grouping
They're
that
group-
has a hole in it.
And then 2 separate ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's technically 3 trees.
correct.
Correct.
3 trunks.
Yep. They're 3 grouped together in that one tree, and that's the one with the major hole in it. And
Mhm.
And like you can see, I have other trees all around there and around my whole property.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, if that thing came down, it'd do some damage somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Art, any comments, questions, concerns?
No, it looks like that should come down.
Thank you.
Rick?
No,
Okay. Mark, any follow-up?
No, I think I'd like to see another red maple planted on the property somewhere, but I'm not that sold on it. It'd be
Okay.
fine if it wasn't.
Okay. Virginia, what do you think about a red maple planting?
Actually, I have it right on the other side, right there, the grouping there.
Yep.
And then I have another one behind it up further. I have quite a few maples already there. And if I need to plant a maple, where am I planting it? My septic's,
It's your choice where you want to plant it. If
I don't know if there's,
option.
yeah. I don't know if there's room really to safely plant it once it gets big. I don't want it near the house, but if I have to plant one,
I would have put it near where the hemlocks are coming out, but you said you're going to leave those stumps high to have a
yeah,
hammock?
I was told to leave the stumps because of the mess it's going to create and it's going to get in the water.
Yeah.
But if I can grind those stumps out, then I will grind them all out. But I was told that I should not do that. So that's why I was leaving those stumps.
If you prefer to grind them in place, you can request that from the board. We can make a decision. And even if you don't do it, I mean, we can have a discussion on that.
I'm fine with grinding stumps. I just don't want them pulled in their entirety.
Yeah.
Grinding is fine.
Mm-hmm.
No. That's the issue, is I can't get a machine down there to pull them anyway.
Right?
My issue
Yeah,
is getting heavy equipment down there. I can't do that.
No. Right.
Okay.
Uh,
You should allow them to leave the option.
Yeah, I will take the option opened if I can to grind them or not grind them. If I have that option.
If you can get a small enough machine in there that just grinds them flush, that you can do that. With the issue is you can't pull them because the root structure under
Right.
there is, it's holding up the whole side of the bank there.
Yeah, I have roots everywhere.
I figure.
So, yeah. If I can get a small machine down there for grinding, because what's happening right now is I have a climber. So the dude is climbing because I can't get any equipment down there. So if I can get something down there, I'll have the option open that I can grind them down. But if I can't get a machine down there, then I can't do that.
Right.
Okay.
So this one planting board, Mark's requesting it or suggesting it. Yay or nay on that? Anybody have an opinion?
I don't feel strongly enough to require it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
There's other trees there.
Okay.
Plenty of trees there.
Okay, so conditions for the negative, if we choose to vote that would be no machinery parked within the 100. So let's just say if you do decide to grind it, you are not to keep that machine. Like say if they want to park it there, it's not to stay within the 100 feet from the bank. So we either keep the stumps or grind them in place.
Right.
What other items, board, that we're requesting for conditions? Anything else? Steve?
I mean, I think those pretty typical.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to issue a negative RDA with the conditions stated that there's no parking of machinery overnight, that the stumps can either be left in place or ground flush.
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion's been made, seconded by Art. Roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Art?
Art Montminy, aye.
Katie Grace,
Katie Dudley, aye.
Mark,
Mark Monjam, aye.
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve will be emailing you something.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Next item on the agenda is 131 Franklin Street, possible votes. And
I have it on the screen.
thank you. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Robert Barlow and Elizabeth Van Ricewood on December 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw, the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General 1, Chapter 131, Section 40. The proposed request for determination of applicability work located is 131 Franklin Street, Douglas. The applicant is requesting permission to construct a storage shed and stone landing at the back of deck stairs. So this is a remote meeting.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. How
I don't,
did they not submit it correctly, or
yeah, it's tricky.
sometimes people they take the tear sheet and they cut it off.
Stranger things have been happening.
Hmm.
So, is there anyone here presenting this project? Robert, I see you're on. Name and address.
On mute.
Okay, we'll see if he, yep. Good evening, Robert.
Hi there.
Hello. Would you like to go over your project with us?
Well, I think it's the notice is pretty simple. We want to construct a storage shed, and I want to put in a engineered stone landing at the base of the stairs that stays within the confines of what the deck is, just for a place to put some lawn furniture.
Okay.
So this is from this was built last summer. This is from the certificate of compliance video, and then I took some updated pictures from this weekend, just showing that right in front of the vehicle here, right about here is where they're going to want to put a shed.
What size is the shed?
I was attempting to put in a 12 by 16. I've been trying to find out from the building department what they might allow without a permit, but I haven't been able to get an answer yet. So I was trying to keep it under 200 square feet, which is what other towns around I've noticed require.
Yeah, and then you're putting what are you putting? Some type of landing right here at the bottom of your steps?
Yeah, from the outside edge of the steps down from the deck to the house. Just a landing for
Like
the
a
lawn
patio?
furniture. And yeah,
Okay, like
it was going to be 12 by 16. So 12 is out to the edge of the stairs from the house and the deck. Did you not get my paperwork, or it doesn't work?
Yeah, I can show you the paperwork, but just you got see the video on the screen?
Yep.
So right about here, you're just putting a little, so it's more like, it's a deck, it's more like a patio type of.
Yeah, it'd be a patio from the outside edge towards the house with a foot of gravel or so against the house just for drainage, and basically out or so to the edge of the propane tanks or so. It's 12 by 16. So the 12 foot is the outside edge of the stairs, and then 16 feet towards the propane tanks.
mm-hmm.
And then can you see this with the flag? So this is the yard. It kind of has it flagged off in the front yard.
Yeah, Steve, could you pull up, do you have a plan?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that.
So we've got a paver patio, right?
Yes. Yes,
And
ma'am.
we have a 12 by 16 shed. And how are you preparing the land under the shed? Just with stone, fresh stone or something?
Yep, 3/4 gravel and just putting it on probably a 1 high 4 by 8 by 16 blocks, just barely off the ground.
Okay. Okay, board, any questions? Mike?
Nope.
Art?
No.
Kay, Grace?
Does it make it sense to put it any closer to the house because you're at 50?
I guess the distance from the house is approximately 35 feet and 25 feet off the road. So I was trying to keep it inside the edge of the back of the house where the wetland boundary is.
Good. I mean, you've got 50 plus, which is good. I just, the further from the wetlands we can go, then it's what we like to see.
Yeah. I mean, if you want it closer to the house, it's fine with me, but I understood that I need to be at least 50 feet.
Correct. And you're at least 50 feet. So that's good.
Right. Okay.
We'd like more.
Okay.
I think the probability for erosion occurring towards the wetlands is across the lawn. So we just want to be thinking about any erosion that could possibly happen when they're preparing that pad area.
Right.
So whether
that'll be me.
7, yeah. So
we are preparing that.
What? Oh, that will be preparing that. Yeah. So we don't want any dirt traveling the 50 feet plus toward into the wetland.
I can put a silt fence while I'm doing the work if you'd like.
I don't know. It says it's a pretty small area. Steve, any comment on that?
It's relatively flat. I think it's just, is he, I don't know if he's digging a foundation, he's just doing sonotubes.
No, I'm just putting it on blocks. I'm not going in the ground at all.
Yeah. I don't think it's an issue where it has it proposed.
Yeah, there's not going to be much disturbance here, so.
No.
Mark?
I'm fine with the location, but is there a path to it or any kind of landing for that or anything coming off the back?
Where, to the shed?
Or is it all just going to be lawn around it?
There's no pathway or nothing going in, no.
Let's just say, are you storing like your lawnmower in there? Is there like a little ramp?
Yeah. There'll be a door. I have ramps if I need to get anything up in the shed, but it's basically lawnmower, snow blower, lawn furniture, hand tools. We have right now, we've only been here 3 months, but we have a 10 by 30 storage shed unit we rent that's full, and we need to get away from that monthly bill. I'm just trying to make it all fit.
Yeah. Okay. Eric?
No questions.
Okay. Board, if we're ready to vote, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I move we issue a negative RDA for the 12 by 16 shed and 12 by 16 landing at 131 Franklin Street.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second by Mike. Roll call vote. Mike?
Mike Greco, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
David?
Dudley, aye.
Mark?
Mark Mungem,
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Next item on the agenda is a discussion 161 Maple Street restoration update. Steve?
Yeah, is anyone here for 161?
Yes, good evening. My name is Dan Wells. I'm with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of the applicant.
Pulling up the plan, Steve.
Yeah. Oh. Hang on a second. That's not correct. Huh.
Is it in the Google Drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. I go out there a lot, just too many pictures.
A lot of pictures.
I get too many of them. All right, I got it. Hang on. Here we go. All right, so this is the house and replication area to my left. This is the one where the commission modified a little bit. It kind of grew back natural. So Dan, if you want to kind of go over what you sent the report, I forwarded that to the commission.
Sure, yeah. I'm filling in for Mitch Mislanka, who's the one who did all the field work. He was unavailable tonight. Essentially, I'll remind the commission, for those of you who don't recall, this project was approved back in 2019, July, I believe. And there was an after the fact notice of intent filed for this wetland alteration. And so Goddard Consulting designed a restoration plan. And so the wetland is about 2,400 square feet of BVW had been altered. And so the plan proposed, revegetating that wetland. So the owner, had a contractor initiate the work. So a lot of the grading or, the topsoil was removed from the area during that summer. And then the project kind of sat still for a couple months. And in the meantime, the wetland grew back quite vigorously with native species, almost entirely. So in the fall of 2019, we approached the commission about amending or modifying the order of conditions, the restoration plan. So we decided that we had initially proposed a bunch of shrubs going in the wetland. And since the wetland had already kind of recovered naturally, we decided that the buffer zone adjacent to that wetland, which had not revegetated, we would direct all those efforts towards the buffer zone. And so that took place. And then this year, my colleague Mitch undertook the monitoring of the area. And so to summarize, essentially the wetland area, it's doing great, except there's Phragmites, as you can see in the photo. He monitored it in July and November of this year. So he estimated about 20% cover by the Phragmites initially during the June inspection. And in the fall, there was also some additional, some Oriental bittersweet that also invaded the wetland. So in summary, the buffer zone plantings were satisfactory. There was a native kind of invasive vine that was also kind of choking out some of those plants. It's called climbing false buckwheat. And Mitch removed that as best he could. And it seems like that worked. So in conclusion, the buffer zone plantings seem to be doing perfect or, close to perfect. And the wetland has greater than 75% cover of wetland species, but it's been invaded or reinvaded by Phragmites. So in the spirit of, providing a successful wetland restoration, we recognize, and the owner recognizes, that we need to do something about that Phragmites and bittersweet. And so I'm here, well, I believe, we had requested in this report permission from the commission to, I think it's gonna need some kind of herbicide treatment. And so that would be in the wetland. And so our original order clearly didn't specify or give us permission to do that. So I guess first, I'd like to throw it out to the commission. We still have a valid order. So, and one of the special conditions in that order, number 647, it mentions that if monitoring data indicates that the objective cannot be cannot be met, a corrective plan of action shall be submitted to the commission for approval and implemented under the supervision of the wetland specialist. So I guess, first of all, I'd like to find out if the commission agrees that this is the necessary course of action. And then how would we go about doing that, under formal approval? Could we just, under this condition number 47, submit a corrective plan of action? Or would we need to, amend the order of conditions to allow use of herbicide in the wetland? So that's essentially what I'd like to find out.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, so what's the corrective method?
Well, we don't have, generally, hire a licensed herbicide applicator to treat, cut the stems or whatever the expert, herbicide applicator recommends is the best method of removing the Phragmites. Most likely, it seems to be the most common is, applying glyphosate to the cut stems.
I'd prefer this to fall under the original active order, under that line item.
I agree, and I think that this could easily be categorized as part of, this is the intent of the original order, is to have a successful restoration, and then this would just be part of a correction plan.
Mm-hmm. So as far as the applicant submitting a corrective plan, and we can just accept that, and they can set out to accomplish whatever that plan is by the professional. Steve, you're good with that?
I am.
Yeah. Board, Mike?
Yeah.
Art?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Okay, so consensus from the board, Dan, is that you can follow your procedures for that number 47 and submit something to Steve and have the applicant do what they need to do.
Excellent. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Steve, anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, next, 7 p.m. Notice of intent, DP number 10143, public hearing 19 Gilboa Court, Eric Martinson, possible votes. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by Eric Martinson located at 19 Gilboa Court. For work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw, Wetland Protection Act, Section Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves the construction of an addition to the existing single-family dwelling with the associated earthwork, landscaping, and utilities within the buffer zone. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the notice of intent may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission, 508-476-4000, extension 205, to be published one time, November 27th, 2020 issue. Okay. Steve, do we have a DEP number on this?
I don't think we do.
Okay. Representing the applicant, Matt?
Yep, that's me. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Matt Collins. I work with Andrew Survey and Engineering, and we are representing the client. Like you said, we are proposing an addition to the existing property. We will also be adding a patio to the backside as well. If you see to, I don't know if you have the plan. I could also pull it up on my end too.
Yeah, I think I have it. It's just not coming up quickly. Hang on, give me one second. I gotta close out some stuff. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep. Just took a while for their computer to. See that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I think I put them both together. I colored them up and scanned them so people can see them. Go ahead.
All right, so on the left side, you can see the existing conditions. We share a driveway with our neighbor to the left, 17 Gilboa Court. And you can see there's riprap in between the two driveways. Both of those driveways are within the buffer area, the 50-foot buffer. We are looking to do work. All the work we are going to do, all the permanent structures will be outside of that 50-foot buffer zone. We are also, you can see there's a basketball court on the lower end there. We are removing the basketball court along with the walkway. There's steps there as well, and part of the existing pavement. So right now the net amount of impervious, since we're removing impervious area as well, will be 672 square feet. But we are also replacing with roofed area, which is cleaner than the drive that we will be removing. And the suspended solids will be less after the proposed work. The way that the drainage, there's a swale on the lower left side of the screen right now. It will all move to the wetland from that swale to the bottom left. And so for that work, now that it'll be cleaner, also the driveway to you can see the left of the porch, we'll be removing that. So we'll be removing driveway area that is in the buffer zone. And also the deck, you can see we are moving it. It was originally over to the right side, and we're moving that deck area. It's a new deck that he wants to place there after the work is done for the addition. We're also adding a retaining wall. Partial areas of the retaining wall are within the 100-foot. That is just to level out the backyard to give him more access to his backyard. And that's going right into that foundation to the proposed addition.
Okay, so with all the work being done, what is the net increase in impervious?
It is 672 square feet.
Okay, and that is between the 50 and the 100, right?
So actually, that is just the total. If you look, I can pull it up. The proposed area of the addition that is not part of it is roughly, one second. That's roughly like 268 square feet. So if you subtract that, so it's really only about 400 square feet of changed impervious area.
Right, so the net increase is about 400.
Yes.
And then on the plan on the right, you have a proposed 1,500 gallon tank.
Yes. So with
Just a question, nothing in jurisdictional.
Oh yeah. So with the addition, that septic tank will be within 10 feet.
Okay.
So we have to, as we added a proposed septic to move it and place a new septic tank outside of that 10-foot buffer from the foundation.
Okay, that was my question. Did you request a waiver from Board of Health?
I'm not sure if we have moved forward with the Board of Health, the waiver. I would have to ask
Yeah.
Jude about that.
I was wondering because the other page says existing and then it was proposed. It looks like really close.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was only off by, I think it was like 5 or 6 feet to the new proposed. We really have to just move it.
Yeah.
And the leaching area is all staying the same.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So there's pretty good distinguished area with that riprap, right, between the wetland and this proposed work. Do you propose any erosion controls? I don't see any on the plan.
So right now we have the erosion control barrier.
It's the dash line.
The dash line.
Okay, the almost invisible dash line on the plan.
This heavy one right here.
Which one?
This thick one.
And you have any stockpiling? Yes, I see it. Okay, I see it now. Stockpiling, machinery storage.
We have not added that to the plan, I don't believe. I can't add that. If
Process of construction. You have a construction sequence in the order of that you're proposing the construction.
I believe on the second page there is.
I don't have that.
I think I have it if you want me to share it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And if you could email that to Steve also.
Okay. If you there we go.
You should be able to share it now.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Steve, do you have this page? This looks nice.
If you don't have it, I will make sure to email it over.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just the general, I don't know if you want to go through all of it.
Well, where are you proposing? We don't like machinery parked, let's just say in the driveway, because that's probably the most, the place that there's most risk. So.
Yes.
Wetland. And any stockpiling on the site, we don't want it in the driveway area. We want it the farthest away from the wetland.
Yeah, we could keep it in the backyard. If I could add that.
We can condition that, but I don't think we have a DEP
Yeah,
number anyway.
Yeah, we don't have a DEP number yet, but if you want to condition that, I can add that to the as far away from the wetland as I can.
Mm-hmm. When did you submit this to DEP?
That I'm not sure of.
So I'm not even seeing it logged in on the NOI projects as filed as of 11/27.
Yes, it's not even registered as like they're pre-reviewing it.
Yeah.
I believe so. If this was November 23rd, I believe is around this, if not the same day, around then.
I would double check on that, and the best way to do it would be to file it electronically. It's not even logged in on the state's website, and the last one logged in was the 27th.
Okay, I will, I'll double check with Jude and Linda about that and see
Yeah,
when they filed it.
No machinery within, let me just see here. I would say if you could park it outside the 100, that would be good.
Yeah, maybe even where the where I have the map and lot, somewhere around that area, by where the erosion control. I can extend the erosion control.
Yeah, that's our typical. Board, are any questions or comments on this?
No.
Mike,
Nope. Nope.
Katie, Grace?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the, I opened the pictures of the backyard and I noticed that like where that stone wall is, there's some grading, and is that stone wall coming out?
The this
Right.
one right here. I believe they are. I believe it's staying there.
Okay. So you're gonna have to have something to retain that. The whole lawn's on a slope. Like the area where the basketball court is, you know, gets water coming in from the, my right, when we're looking at the screen with the slope, you know, it's a higher elevation on the right and it slopes down to the left. And I can see that you've got a proposed retaining wall behind the house that I guess prevents it from eroding behind the house. But then you've still got a slope coming into the house.
So we changed those proposed contours, that 216 and 214.
Mm-hmm.
We, like you said, it was all the water was draining to the left, like towards where the proposed addition is going to be. We are looking to, with those contours, have it drain to the lower end of, instead of to the left, to the bottom, the way we're looking at it now.
Down towards the, like, where the play structure is?
Yeah, it's like towards the retaining wall, and then if you see where the that 14-inch pine where we have the shot, and it will go through there, and then when it goes, everything starts to move down that way towards where the swale is, down here. And so we're looking for it to go from up here down to, and then the water will drain to the left after the retaining wall.
Okay.
Get to that swale and then go towards the wetland.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I just want to recognize that, you know, you're kind of changing the water flow patterns, because as it stands, it looks like the water just flows right across the basketball court. And now that you've got a house there, you're going to end up channeling, you know, any water flow that comes off that roof line's got to come across the lawn and around the back of the house. So I just wanted you to be mindful of that, and you know, you might want to make sure you've got gutters or what have you on there. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the roof pitch is, but
Yeah, I'll make sure to take a note of that and talk to the PE about that.
thank you.
Mark?
Was there any consideration to give into going straight back with the addition instead of having that narrow area of house and then go back? So there's like an L shape. In other words, go back like through the deck. So that we have a further distance from the 50-foot wetland buffer line.
The way with the grading, I think he wanted to stay away that leaching area. We didn't want to add, we have to be 20 feet off of that as well.
How far off are you now on this plan?
This plan, we are from the deck, we're 17 feet. From the foundation itself, we are 35 right now.
Yeah, coming straight back would be much too close to the existing septic.
Yeah, I
Well,
know
he
we
said he has
originally had
35
that.
feet and he needs to be 20, so he could be 10 or 15 feet closer.
We originally did have that, but I know when the grading worked out, we were starting to grade too close to that leaching area that for comfort. So that's why we moved it over farther to the left, but we kind of had to find that middle ground. So we made sure we stayed outside the 50-foot buffer, but we also didn't want to be too close to that leaching area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Maybe if we could, at our leisure, see the elevations, or maybe Steve, did you do a video yet of this location?
I don't believe he has yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it would make a lot more sense when you see the elevation difference in person. Where you're talking about all this grading and the retaining wall and the existing conditions with the basketball court and the grade changes. I think you'd be able to kind of visualize it a little bit better.
Yeah, it is a lot better to see that in the field than just looking at this.
Photos, I can show you the photos.
Okay,
You stop the screen sharing, Matt, so I can.
thank you.
Yep.
This kind of shows this is that stone area, the basketball court, the other driveway. Wasn't it? Yeah. So that's what I have for photos.
Okay, nothing looking to the backyard. Okay, wait, go back.
I didn't walk around too much because there wasn't anyone home, and then so
Okay,
I kind of went up the driveway real quick and took some shots.
so you can see there's a significant difference in grade on that porch, the deck area. Yeah, to the driveway. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right there. And it's existing lawn area. You've got 2 driveways and a riprap stone area to cross as far as erosion reaching that wetland area.
Yeah.
Eric, have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. Does anybody need to go there, want to go there? No, it's pretty well established, as far as the intent of, we just don't want any erosion occurring down those driveways or anywhere out of the limit of work. So, and if they just park the machines, on the driveway, I guess.
I look at this and I see a lot of impervious surface already.
Mm-hmm.
And it just concerns me that we're going to allow an increase in the impervious area. I'd like to I look at this and I say, boy, I'd like to see a reduction in the impervious area within the 50-foot or within the 100-foot buffer. If there is any possible to do that.
We are increasing it, but because it is roofed area now instead of that pavement area, it will be cleaner going towards the wetland. And the suspended solids won't be as much of an issue.
How will the roof drains be handled?
What was that, sorry?
How will the roof drains be handled?
The roof drains, so when you saw where that swale was going in the back, so basically anything that is going from around where our proposed porch is, where that existing pavement is, everything above that was going up the driveway towards the wetland. And there's a point there where everything below and where all of our work is done, all of that is going to the left and then down towards the swale down at the bottom left. And you can see the drainage pipe, the HDPE by the riprap as well.
Yeah, when I saw this plan, I thought that the rock area, the riprap area was like a rocky swale. But now I see it's on a slope. It's on a significant slope. So it's kind of catching the water, but the water's not held there very long. It didn't seem like. So you're talking about a swale. Where is the swale? I'm sorry.
It's lower. You can't see it from. Yeah, right there.
And that swale does not go through the riprap. It circumvents it or goes, right? It doesn't go through that riprap area.
No, it does not go. There is the pipe that is there. It's tough to see. It's existing pipe. You can see the elevation of it.
Oh, there's a pipe there. Okay. That goes under the driveway?
Yep. And so it crosses that. That's the connected driveway to the 17 Gilboa Court.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes underneath that driveway so that it won't, for the TSS removal, so it won't go through over that.
Okay.
Nice, Steve. Thanks.
So you said the roof drainage will be directed back to the back part of the property behind the patio?
Yes. Basically anything going from the porch back, even before we did any work, that's all going up, and everything behind that's going back into the left.
This way?
Yes. So, but it's more going to the kind of diagonally to the left.
So if we could depict that flow on the revised plan.
Yeah, I could make out.
So you can make a couple notes. Especially the drainage, stockpiling area, no machinery within whatever the 50. Because I think the driveway, depicting the existing driveway would be nice. The net impervious increase on the lot. Anything else you can think that would improve the conditions? The patio, is that just kind of like pervious pavers, or what's the patio going to be made of?
I believe it's just made it. They're just doing pavers with that.
So are you counting that also as your impervious?
Yeah, I did count that as the impervious.
Okay, so it does have some pervious element percentage, I think. So might want to just take a little peek at that.
Yeah, and if I add that up, it might even end up being a net loss of impervious.
Right. So I think there's a coefficient on the permeability of that in the cracks,
Yeah.
but that's something. And then just state like it's going to be the roof runoff will be addressed. However, it's going to be addressed, as
Okay.
Steve has depicted on the plan.
Oh,
Low.
it'll be cleaner than that.
I'll give you my bill.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Board, anyone else have any questions or concerns on this hearing at this time? Mike,
Not at this time.
Art,
No.
Katie Grace,
No.
Mark,
No, nothing else.
Eric?
No.
And anyone in the public have any questions or concerns in regards to this hearing 19 Gilboa? Can raise your hand. You can unmute yourself. Not seeing anyone. Steve, okay, I'll entertain a motion to close, to continue this hearing. I'm just looking at the word close on here.
I move we continue the 19 Gilboa Court public hearing to January 11th
Seconded.
At 7 p.m.
at 7 p.m. Excuse me.
Motion's been made, seconded by Katie Grace. Roll call vote, Mike,
Mike Greco, aye.
Art,
Art Montmany, aye.
Katie Grace,
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you.
Get that to Steve. And see what's happening with DEP tomorrow.
Okay.
Takes a long time.
Yep, I will.
Okay. Good job. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, public hearing, 34 Grove Street, Hayward Homes, possible votes. That is going to be continued.
I don't think it's going to be continued. I don't think she even advertised.
We have to, oh, did they notify the abutters?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, this is Kathy Whitney.
Hi.
The abutters and probably the most impacted person here.
Okay, well, hold on one moment, please. Steve, did they must have notified the abutters?
They notified the abutters. She just didn't advertise correctly.
Okay.
She didn't place the ad.
Kathleen, we just need to open this to continue to the next hearing. We cannot discuss anything. So we'll have to, what?
She didn't place the ad in the legal notice to even open it.
Okay. So we just need to continue the agenda item.
Okay.
Everyone was notified that it was going to be this night. That's why, Steve.
Yeah.
So we'll just,
I can have her re-notify. I can have her re-notify everybody if you want.
Board, it's up to you. We could do certificates of mailing. I think that's, we voted that policy that was sufficient to prove that the abutters were notified. That would probably be a nice reminder. Anybody have an opinion? Board? Chime in. Anybody? Katie Grace?
Yes.
Okay. Certificate of mailing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Kathleen, we will be taking this up at our January 11th meeting.
Sounds good.
I would recommend going, we're kind of out of time. Maybe go to the 25th.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So it'll be on the 25th, but we'll have the applicant do a certificate of mailing for you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So board, we'll just have that on our agenda for the 25th at 7. And then please let Margaret know to advertise for that day. And she doesn't have a DEP number either.
Right.
I didn't check it on the list, but so we'll see you then, Kathleen.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for waiting. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It was interesting.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you found that entertaining. entertaining and interesting Monday night. Take care.
Thanks.
So next one is a 7 p.m. RDA public meeting, 135 Southeast Main Street, possible votes. The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Scott Morris on December 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed request for determination of applicability work location is 135 Southeast Main Street, Douglas, and the applicant is requesting permission to build a barn not affecting wetlands. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted at the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the meeting may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission at 508-476-4000 extension 205. Okay. Is anyone here for this hearing?
Yes, Scott and Kim Morris.
Hello, good evening. Name and
How you
address.
doing?
Good.
I'm sorry, what?
Name and address, please.
Scott Morris, 135 Southeast Main Street, Douglas.
Okay, and Steve, do we have a plan for them?
Yeah, let me bring this up first. This is so this is the house. So they actually have an existing order of conditions for the house.
Mm-hmm.
And which was done, I don't know, Scott, how long ago that was, maybe 10 years ago?
No, completed the house 5 years ago, right?
And I'll bring that plan up and
it's 5.
I think this is the location where they plan on putting the barn as they come in. As they come into the house, there's a driveway that comes off of Southeast Main. There's a little crossing here that they did, and they have their house here, and then they own the rest of this property here.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can bring the plan up that he submitted.
Is building the barn in lieu of the containers?
Yes, yeah, the containers were actually equipment that had to be moved out of my grandparents' house when it was sold after they passed away.
Good.
So it's just a very temporary storage.
So
Can you see the plan?
is there a plan for applying for your building permit?
We're in the process of it, actually. The permit I started getting the permit, getting signatures on it, and then I had to come to you guys because we had a wetlands crossing, so we impacted it, which is why we're coming back to you.
So do you have that plan that's showing the location? Because you have to be 25 feet off the sideline.
We're off of that 25 feet. We're
Oh.
about 50 feet from the property lines, from where this is going.
The red square does not look like.
No, it's not to scale. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. So do you have the plan that you're applying for? And do you have the dimensions, like the closest?
Yes, I'd given those to Steve, the building plans, but the barns are 30 by 40.
Okay,
And the back of it's going to be off the approximately, I want to say it's like 50 feet off the property line.
So this is his RDA. Let's see here. Right. So this is what he.
So what's the closest distance to the BVW, the wetland?
That's, Steve, what would you say? It's probably 250 feet from the reclamation area.
Tell them this is where they originally used to.
Yeah, this is actually the original area where the past commission wanted us to build our house before we agreed to.
Right here?
Yeah, I was actually in that areas where,
We wouldn't have to go.
we wouldn't have had to go to conservation if we built there.
Okay, I see the 100. Yep, right there.
So if you're on this side of it, you're outside, the technically, I wasn't sure if you're over on this side, but you're on this side of the road,
Yeah,
right? Where the
but
stockpile?
the reclamation's down at the bottom,
No, but
that was-
where are you putting the barn? Right here?
right in the stockpile area.
Oh,
Oh, so you're good.
well, is that a scalable 25 feet from that corner point there?
I'm sorry, help me out there.
So that point where Steve's cursor is.
Well, that's not the exact, it's more towards the gravel turnabout area where it says construction staging area.
Up here?
Yeah, just a little bit up further there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think part of it might be outside, other side of the other side of the 100.
Is there any way we can get the plan of where the layout is of your barn that you applied for to building?
Well, I haven't applied for it yet because we can't apply for it until I have your signatures.
Okay, so where's the plot plan that you're using to apply for the building permit?
This is the one Steve told us to use when he'd sent it to us. He'd sent that to me saying, just go off of this.
Well, I gave you, I said to go off.
Yeah, it's not to throw you under the bus. I'm just making
No,
sure
no,
that
no, I said.
This is what we have.
Right, but instead of, you had the plot plan for the assessors, but you have an existing order of conditions that has the wetland delineation on it, that you should be using that for to show where you're putting the barn.
Okay.
Buffer zone and stuff. And this is.
And he's in the priority habitat too. Is there any way, so we don't have a surveyed plan showing the 30 by 40 barn and its location in reference to the buffer?
No, I guess we don't.
We don't have a definite, we can move it.
We have flexibility. If we need to move that around, we can.
Okay.
Within that area. But if you need another plan, we can get you another plan if that's what we need.
Seems like the stockpile location is 100% out of our jurisdiction, where Steve had done the square.
Okay.
We just need something to hang our hat on. If we're going to make a determination, I need to know how close, if it's existing disturbed area, if it's tree cutting. I just don't know where you're placing it from what Steve's shown us. Distances.
Okay. So I guess I'm just looking at you to see what I need to give you.
A surveyed plot plan.
Okay.
Showing the location of your proposed barn in reference to the wetlands.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we see the square, the location to within a tolerance of, what is it, a few feet?
Yeah.
Right now the pretty square gives us a nice location, but it needs to be, like what Tracy said, scalable.
Okay.
So this plan here that I gave you, I think I emailed this to you.
Yep, I have those.
Right, so you can see that it was unclear. This is the jurisdiction of the commission. Anything to the left of this. But you don't have a plan that shows up here where you're putting the barn. You're going to put the barn anywhere like over here.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd be, you're outside the jurisdiction, but you proposed on putting it.
Well, yeah, we can move it down to that stockpile area. That's no problem.
Because you used the Google Earth and it was unclear, as I said, that to use the plan that that was a little bit more in reference. But as Tracy is saying, you still have to be. Where's your property line? Is this your property line right here?
No, I don't believe that is. I'd have to look at the full picture.
Yeah, that's the point there. So I mean, I we could place it for you. I think in the gravel turnaround area, absolutely in the stockpile area is non-jurisdictional. But if you think that it's going to get closer to that side, then you probably want a plan. I mean, we could do a distance, we could do, you know,
When you say to the, not to interrupt you, when you say closer to the side, what side are you talking?
with the wetland across the road.
Oh, okay. No, it's not gonna, it's gonna stay on the, if any way you look at it, it would stay to the right of the driveway as we look at it.
Okay.
So.
That gravel turnaround area?
Mm-hmm.
Right where these stumps are, I mean, I think that's the turnaround area.
That was this, isn't that the stockpile area?
Yeah, because it's an embankment over there.
So I think the turnaround is a little further back.
Or the stockpile area, right.
Right.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Are you planning to cut any trees down, do you think?
Yeah, there would have to be some minimal trees cut down to make sure that it was, you know, away from everything.
Most of them are dead, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. So I don't know how the board feels, but I mean, I would be able to issue a negative with some parameters, and then if you fall outside those parameters, then you would need to come back to us, or you can wait till January and have an actual location with measurements. So we can.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why don't we, if you can do the negative and we can provide Steve for the record, just the dimensions and such, if that works.
Well, when you apply for your building permit, if it matches what the commission gives on the negative, then you'll be all set.
Okay, perfect.
So anything that Steve was drawing beyond the 100, we don't have any jurisdiction over. So if you put it in there, you don't need to come to us at all.
Okay.
If we can pull up the plan one more time, Steve. If there's the driveway is depicted and you're saying that it's going, you know, as we're looking at it on the right side of the driveway. And do we have an as-built plan for this when we issued the certificate?
You haven't issued one yet on this property.
Nope, that's the next question that we wanted to ask you about.
So the stone wall, you see where the stone wall is and the break of the stone wall?
Yep.
Yep.
So are you going to be approximately in that location?
Yeah, because we were talking about having to remove those stumps that are in the stockpile area now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in there. The whole thing isn't a huge area, but it fit kind of back where those stumps.
Okay, so you see where Steve has drawn the red line that's jagged, that's the 100. We don't have any jurisdiction on that.
Okay.
So if you don't think that you're going to be, so you have that whole area. If you don't think you're going to be going into the gravel turnaround area where there's a little corner clipping, then you wouldn't necessarily need any permission from us.
Okay, we were under the impression since we had the order of conditions outstanding that we had to come to. But if we didn't, then
Close out or order expired, and I believe it's expired unless you got an extension, but you will need to prepare an as-built plan anyway. So when you're doing the plot plan for the barn, you can just have them do the as-built.
yeah, when you say as built, the only thing that is different out of all this, you guys had a few years ago, instead of having the reclamation area, we got approval to, since it started making a pond, we were given approval to let it continue being a pond because of all the wildlife in there. The only thing that we're lacking is the pavement up to the bridge, from the house to the bridge. For some reason that was put in the plans, and at this point we don't have any runoff into it. It's not causing any problems.
I think that was a preference. That wasn't a requirement, right, Steve?
Back then, I think it says paved. It says it's gravel up until the crossing, and for some reason they had paved over the crossing, and I think the owners would like to just keep it as is.
Yeah.
The entire thing gravel.
And if it's not eroding, it's been so long.
No.
And then so anyway, that's kind of two separate issues. So if you're outside the 100, you're outside the 100, but you should wrap things up and close out your existing order.
Okay, so we go about that by just making new plans?
Yep, you would say you're done and we're keeping this, it's existing gravel and we're keeping it gravel.
Okay.
So is there any chance that you will want to put that barn within the 100 that Steve had on the screen?
No, it's going to be.
I don't think so. We only picked that spot because you guys had recommended we put the house there, so we didn't have to go through you in the first place. But we wanted the house further back.
Okay.
So I think we just chose there because it would be the least disturbance of anything. I mean, if we put it behind us, and that's the disturbance, so we just put it up front.
Okay, do you want it there?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to make sure. Let me just see here. You've already come to us, so you're here.
I think we're getting into a lot of wetlands behind.
Yeah, the whole house is actually surrounded by wetlands.
Okay.
So it would be a major undertaking to have to fill that in.
Okay. Okay. So that's really the only suitable location.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. Board, do we have any questions on this? Mike?
No.
Art?
No.
Okay, Grace?
I like that location in the front. Please don't put it in the back.
Okay.
No.
Eric?
No.
Okay, so this would be a negative because the activity is not actually jurisdictional in the location that they've proposed. And if there's any other change, they would have to come back to the board. Other than that, Steve, don't know anything else that.
No, that's correct.
Okay, so that's why it's very important that we get a plan, that the applicants prepare a plan so that we can see the dimensions and
Okay.
we actually want, not like you're going to do this again, but it would have been good because we probably could have made a determination. But yeah, if you can get that certificate of compliance submitted too, that'll wrap out the project. And I'll entertain a motion for a negative.
So moved.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second by Art. All those in favor, roll call. Mike?
Mike Greco, aye.
Art?
Art Montmany, aye.
Katie Grace?
PG Dudley, aye.
Mark?
Mark Mungem, no.
Eric?
Eric Harris, aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. So Steve, we really need to get plans.
I gave them a lot of information, and sometimes they submit what they submit, and You know,
Proposing a big structure with no plot plan. I mean, that would have aided them in not having to come to the board.
right. Unfortunately, once they submit something and I try to, I can't deny him, but you know, sometimes I was trying to guide him as much as possible in the information I was giving him, and so.
Well, a tree is one thing and structure is another. You need a certified plot plan to apply for a permit. I don't know why we're accepting the application. We have, you know,
right.
the requirements of an application, and we're getting an old plan that we don't know where anything is on it. And I still don't know if that's going to actually fit there because I can't tell by the scale. So we've got to vet the applications before they get to us. And at a minimum, it has to have dimensions with a structure shown. We shouldn't be drawing on a structure. I mean, a tree, you circle a tree, that's okay. A 30 by 40 barn, you need a plot plan.
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple.
And the person wouldn't have come to us because we could see that they're outside the jurisdiction. For RDAs, I mean, trees are one thing, a whole big barn.
I don't mind denying it if people don't have the correct information, then I'm fine with that. So
we can just simply have a cover letter with the requirements for submittal of an RDA.
Right.
We don't need a full-blown engineered plan, but they're going to have to do it anyway. I need a dimension to go by.
Okay.
Right? Because those guys wouldn't have needed to come, I don't think. Discussion number 12, Ray Whitehead Family Convenience Center expansion. Is there someone here for a very short discussion? That is 9:44.
Yes, good evening. My name is David Feist with CMG. Thank you for having us tonight. Also with us is Ray Whitehead, the property owner, and Scott Jordan with Ecotech.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
I'm not sure, Steve, if you'd be able to put up the existing conditions plan to start. I could just give sort of a brief overview. Basically, my 3 goals are just to give you a brief overview of the project goals and our concept plan. Have Scott share a little info on the riverfront redevelopment regulations, which are a little different than some of the standard ones we deal with, and then get some preliminary commission feedback. Before we start doing the full design, we just wanted to get sort of the project in front of you guys to get some initial feedback. Steve, do you have the existing conditions plan also? It shows the as-is conditions.
I don't want to go into the realm of a public hearing. So
okay, I can just look at the concept plan if you'd like.
Yeah, I think reviewing riverfront area and alternatives and impacts, that is a bit of an in-depth review.
Well, correct, and that's not what our goal is tonight. Basically, what I just want to show, just so you can see the existing gas station, I think everyone's familiar with the Pink Lady ice cream cone that sits out in front. You can see basically the entire site is within the 100-foot riverfront, and only about, I'd say, a third of it is between the 100 and 200 foot. It's been developed for some time. Ecotech went out, flagged the riverfront along, you'll see on the southern line of the property. You can see some of the existing drainage connections. Ray owns the property next door to the west, number 51 Main Street. It has an existing house and driveway. You can see in that almost the entire property is all lawn all the way up to Centerville Brook. There's a small area, about 1,800 square feet, that's actually, I guess you could consider undisturbed riverfront, with the remainder of it being grass lawn and then the house and driveway. Steve, if you could switch to the concept plan, I can explain sort of the goal of our project. Basically, we have one of the issues the town has had for a while, and Ray's had a challenge with, is with the Dunkin' Donuts at the property. There's a stacking issue where some of the cars during busy times end up going out onto Main Street. So as part of the project, we're proposing to expand onto the number 51 Main Street property to the west, to basically get those cars off the street and provide some additional parking area. He also would like to expand his building slightly to add some more storage space and get some more parking for the ice cream. With that, there's a part of the riverfront regs I'll have Scott explain in a little more detail. But what we're proposing to do is just expand the parking in the drive-through lane onto that neighboring property, tear down the house that's there, and then take the lawn area and provide a restoration area for actually permanent riverfront zone, which would be vegetated. Ecotech would help us with those plans. Right now, what we're showing is this is basically this would be the our client's wish. This is ideally what we'd like to design. Again, we'd have to go through all the regulations, make sure it met all stormwater, notice of intent, other Wetlands Act requirements. Tonight, we just wanted to kind of get your feedback because part of the project does encroach on the 50-foot buffer zone, as part of the existing site is already in that 50-foot zone, as well as basically the expansion being in the 100-foot and 200-foot riverfront. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Scott Jordan, just to give you an overview of what the redevelopment regs would allow us to do.
Sure, I could be real brief.
Yeah, really brief. Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry. We should have.
Yeah, I won't bore you. We'll certainly we'll write this all up for a notice of intent and break down the provisions. But basically, a lot of folks don't see the redevelopment provision that's in the riverfront area portion of the regulations. It's at 1058.5. And that's what we would utilize here for this project. And in a nutshell, you get credit for your existing impervious areas on the site. The term is degraded riverfront area. And it's impervious areas. Of course, we have the house over there and we have a driveway. And you get credit for that area. You get to build that amount. And there's a provision in this redevelopment area, provision that allows for you to do additional work in the riverfront area as long as you provide mitigation. And that's what the package would include. Essentially, if you restore 2 square feet of riverfront area on the property, you get to develop 1 square foot. And we would be converting a huge portion of the lawn area on that 51 property to the west, from lawn to upland forest. And David has run the calcs, and we should. It's not me. That dog's bigger than mine. And so that's in a nutshell, real quick and dirty, what the proposal would include as far as shoehorning it and fitting it nicely. Shoehorning is the wrong term. Within the riverfront area regulations.
Understood.
Are you combining these 2 lots?
Yes, they're currently both owned by Family Convenience.
You're combining both lots though and creating 1 new lot.
That's correct.
Okay, so that has another whole set of different redevelopment rules.
Yeah, that's correct. That consideration will have to be discussed.
Yeah, and this will be peer reviewed and you will need to make sure that you meet all the requirements.
Absolutely.
This isn't really a matter of discussion, especially at 9:51. So it's a very complex, and you have to, I mean, you've seen a couple of riverfront area projects coming through tonight, and there's an alternatives analysis that will need to satisfy the DEP reviewer as well. So I'm sure you're familiar with those reviews, the new reviewer. So I don't think the board has enough information or can't even comment at this time. It will be peer reviewed, and then we'll take everything into consideration with all of our experts. So I would just say that, you know, got to meet the regulation. So.
Very good. We understand.
Yeah, it's a very complex project, complex site that we really shouldn't even be commenting on right now. Board, anyone else have any comments on this? I mean, I'm glad that there's some proposed new business, and it's just got to meet the regulations. It's got to be a tough site. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Which home is being taken down? The one when Steve had the plan in front of us, you had the convenience store and you had a lot to the right, which I guess is east, and a lot to the west. Which one is he talking about taking down, or is it both?
It's the house to the west of the store, right across from the highway barn.
Oh, the ones behind. Oh, over by the
on the way out of town.
the fire department in those built.
It's right across from the highway barn. On the other side of the store is across from the fire station.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I gotcha.
Anyone else? Art, anything?
Nope.
Katie Grace?
No, it's really too soon to say.
Mark?
Will the ice cream lady be staying?
It will be expanded and improved.
Awesome.
Eric?
I vote aye.
No, we thank you. We really do appreciate your time. We want to, at least at this early stage, at least get your feedback, and that definitely is helpful because we know it's a very complex project, and we'll have much more detailed plans when we do file a notice of intent.
Yeah, I think that for me, I would be excited to see an expansion as long as it meets all the regulations. And we will stick to what the regulations are and what our peer reviewer determines.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank
you. Working on that NOI. Okay. Approve minutes. Do you want to do that?
I just wanted to talk about the minutes for just a moment.
Sure.
We're falling really far behind. The August 24th minutes and the September 14th minutes were in pretty bad shape on the drafts. And in October, the first week of October, the board asked me to put a synopsis of the problems down in writing, and I sent them to Steve, and I never heard back. And now we're 5 sets of minutes behind. At some point, we're going to have to take some action. I know we're putting a lot of agenda items on all. You know, it seems like it's growing and growing. I thought it might be getting shorter as the colder weather came up, but we got to find some time to get somebody to work on these.
So the ones I have in the Google Drive weren't updated from your comments?
No. What I got, and I just got 10.5 and 10.19 today.
Yeah.
By 8:24, I didn't get any response at 8:24. 9:14 is a real mess too. Stuff is out of order. I don't mean technically out of order by Robert's rules. I mean, things are in the minutes that we didn't take up until later in the meeting. But they're in the wrong spaces.
All right, so I'll go back, Art, and look at I'll CC you on it with the new meeting minute taker.
Okay.
And I'll CC you on my correspondence with her to make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay. Not trying to be a stick in the mud or anything, but this supposed to be a public record for down the road, and I don't think anybody could make heads or tails of the last couple I've seen.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time for that and being the number one position on that. If you guys could take care of that, and we'll take that up before all of the hearings next time.
Yep, that might be a good idea.
What do you think about that, Steve? If we organize the agenda for old business and all of the meeting minutes, and we take care of those with fresh eyes or fresher eyes than right now?
Okay.
If this is it Ashley? Is that her name?
Yes.
If she wants to talk to me about what the issues are, I'd be happy to make some time for her.
Okay. Yeah, I think. How are our new minutes? How are
Well, I looked at the one from last week. I mean, last month. I was absent, so I don't know how accurate it is. But the format is much better.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
but it's the 4 before that, and I don't know if it's the 4. The last 2, like I said, I just got today, and I didn't get a chance to look at them. But the first 2 were terrible.
Yeah, I think the old minute that was in a transition with the old person. Took them, and then Ashley came in, and so it might have been she was trying to do the corrections of someone else's minutes.
Right.
But we'll straighten it out.
Okay. Well, I'm available if you need some help with it. That's all.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Steve?
Is that it for the? Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I was hoping we'd start slowing down for the winter time, but
no.
This is
doesn't look like it.
It's busiest. It's been the busiest winter in 20 years.
At least we're saving on gas.
And so one of the things I haven't had. Yeah.
Apparently.
One of the things I'm going to start is the filing fees. So I haven't had a chance to really. I've started looking at them over the fall, but it's just been so bombarded that try to have a public. One of these days, we're going to have to try to have a public hearing. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll have a separate Monday just for that.
Mm-hmm.
On redoing the filing fees that haven't been done in 13 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all.
That's a really good idea.
Yes, I mean some of these it's it's $25 for the filing, which doesn't cover much of anything, or even some of these projects, the ones all coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I think with your best guesstimate, if you could prepare just the one sheet in our general bylaw, the Douglas Concom bylaw, if you could do a suggested amount to reflect the time spent, and then we can kind of look at it and then hopefully vote on it like sometime in February.
Right. Thank you.
Board, anything else? I see 3 people are sleeping. No, just kidding.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded. Roll call vote. Mike
Greco, aye.
Art
Montmany, aye.
Okay, Grace.
E.G. Dudley, aye.
Mark Mungem,
Eric.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Holiday.